In this video, we will be talking about the brushes panel. Brushes panel stores all of our brushes, and as you can see, it already has some brushes to work with. It can be accessed through the window menu, or we can just press the F5 key. At the bottom of the panel, we have some buttons. This button contains the default brush libraries, along with the options for loading more brushes and saving the existing brushes as a library. There are few more options that can be accessed by clicking on this button. Now most of these options are so simple that they need no explanation. Remove brush stroke option only removes the brush applied to the selection and not the path itself. Same thing can be done by clicking on this button or through this thumbnail. Brush options gives us a dialog with all the options of the selected brush. It can also be accessed by double-clicking on a brush. Options of selected object gives us the stroke options dialog, where we can change the basic brush parameters for the selected object without messing up the default values of the brush. We can also get this dialog by clicking on this button. In the toolbar, we have two brush tools. This one is just a regular brush tool, and this one is the blob brush tool. The brush tool can be used with all sort of brushes we have in the brushes panel, and it has similar options as the pencil tool. The blob brush, on the other hand, can only be used with the calligraphic brushes, and as soon as we draw something with it, it expands the brush stroke and we get a closed area. Now if we select both of these objects, we can clearly see the difference. This one is a brush stroke, but this one is no longer a brush stroke because of the fact that it has been expanded. And since it is no longer a brush stroke, the brush stroke options will not be available for this one. Blob brush also has a feature of merging the strokes together. Selected or not, whatever we draw with the blob brush will be merged together. We can, however, tell the blob brush to merge only with the selection by double-clicking it and turning merge only with selection checkbox on. This dialog also has some additional options that we will learn in the upcoming videos. Illustrator offers 5 different types of brushes. To create a brush, click on this little icon and select the type of brush you want to create. Let's start with the calligraphic brush. It is a great brush to mimic the traditional calligraphy tools. Let's click OK to bring up the brush options. Now we have 3 sliders that control the angle, roundness and the size of the brush. The angle and the roundness can also be changed from this brush shape editor. Holding down the shift key enables the snapping. And we can also use it with sliders. Just place the mouse cursor over any of these boxes and roll the middle mouse button with shift key pressed. This area displays the preview of the brush. Now one thing I would like to mention here, that if I go beyond a certain value with the size, it starts displaying some new information over the preview area. It is actually showing the size of the brush at this zoom level. So if we go with this size value, this would be the size of our brush at 50% zoom level. The space here is not enough to show the actual size of the brush. So Illustrator uses this unique way to give users an idea about the size of the brush. Now let's give this brush a name and click OK to create it. So we have successfully created a calligraphic brush, but we still are not done with it. Let's double click on it to bring up this dialog with all the brush parameters. Now notice that all of these 3 sliders have these drop down menus. These menus contain options that we can use to add variation to each of these parameters. All the options below random might not be available to you, because they are meant to be used with the pen tablet. I have all of these options available because I have a pen tablet plugged into my computer. Let's select random for now. Now as soon as we select the random from the list, we get this variation slider. Variation set to 0 is same as using the fixed option, so it is important that we move this slider to some greater value. Let's use 20 points for variation. Now if we look at the preview of the brush, we have 3 different sized dots. The size value we are using is 30 points, and this black dot here represents the size value. But the size value is also being worked on by 20 points of variation, so it can vary by 20 points. So with the 20 points of variation, the upper limit or the maximum value for the brush size would be 50, which is represented by this grey dot. Likewise, the lower limit or the minimum value for the brush size would be 10, which is represented by this tiny grey dot. And since we are using the random variation for the brush, every stroke we draw with this brush is going to use a random value between the range of 10 to 50 for its size. Now it's time to test this brush. Let's grab these objects and apply the brush. Now notice that every time we click on the brush, each of these objects gets a random value for the size. Likewise, we can use any option from this drop down that is available to us. I mostly use pressure option with pen tablet. So let's select the pressure from the list and keep the variation to 20 points for this case. Now the size of the brush will be controlled by the amount of pressure we apply on the tablet. Applying more pressure gives bigger size to the brush stroke, and applying less pressure does the opposite. The next brush we are going to learn about is the scatter brush. Through scatter brush, we can disperse the copies of an art along a path, just like we did here. Now let's learn how we can create one. Scatter brush needs something that it could scatter along the strokes. So I already have an art here that we will use for our scatter brush. Let's drag it into the brush panel and select scatter brush from the list. We will go through all of these options in a moment. Let's click OK for now to create the brush and apply it to this path. Now double click on the brush to bring back the brush options. We have 4 parameters in the option group. Size controls the scale of these brush elements. Spacing slider controls the amount of space between each element of the brush. Smaller spacing value results into more objects along the path, and at some point they start to overlap. Higher value means bigger spacing with lesser number of objects. Scatter slider takes care of the amount of dispersion. And rotation slider controls the rotation of the brush elements. Now we have this drop down that offers 2 options. First option sets the rotation relative to the page, which makes the brush elements face the same direction as the page. Or we can set the rotation relative to the path, which aligns the brush elements according to the flow of the path. These drop-down menus contain options to add variation to these parameters. As soon as we select any of these options, we get one more slider. Now we can use this slider to set the maximum value and this slider to set the minimum value for this parameter. The third brush in the list is the art brush, which allows us to convert any art into a brush. We already have an art here that we will be converting into an art brush. So let's start with the process. Grab the art and click on New Brush button. Then select the art brush from the list and click OK. Now let me first apply this brush to these objects so that we can easily see the live preview of the brush options. The art brush has some very interesting options. Width slider determines how wide or narrow the brush should be. Then we have this drop down we are already familiar with. Brush scale options group offers 3 options that determine how the artwork is going to stretch or scale along the path. Scale proportionately option preserves the proportions of the art, no matter how long or short the brush strokes are. This option is going to scale the art proportionately to fit the path. If we change the length of the path, the overall size of the art is also going to change to keep it proportionate and to avoid any stretching. In the case of a curved stroke, the art is going to experience some distortion which cannot be avoided. Because naturally, in order to wrap the art along the path, distortion is needed here. But despite the distortion, the size of the art remains proportionate. Stretch to fit stroke length option does just the opposite of the first option. It doesn't care about the proportions of the art and stretch it along the path. Through stretch between guides option, we can prevent the start and the end of the brush from being stretched. We can say that this one is the combination of the last 2 rules. Now whatever comes in between these 2 lines is going to be stretched, and the area outside of these lines will remain unaffected. We can set the start and the end value either through these boxes, or we can just move these 2 dotted lines in the preview box directly like this. Now as you can see that the area which is outside of these lines is no longer stretched. and looks much better than before. After the brush scale options, the next group is the direction group, which offers 4 directions for our brush. One thing I want to mention here that these will only be changing the direction of the art and not of the brush stroke. These options flip the art horizontally and vertically. And lastly, these buttons toggle the folds and overlaps adjustment in the brush. So that's all about the art brush. Fourth in the list is the bristle brush, through which we can simulate the effect of paint brushes. In this dialog, we have some options that we can use to create our own bristle brush. These parameters are pretty much self-explanatory, but let's just go through each of them one by one. This drop-down offers 5 different round and flat brush shapes. Then we have size slider for the brush size. Bristle length controls the length of the bristles. Short bristles create thin strokes, whereas long bristles give us thick strokes. Density determines the number of bristles of the brush. Thickness controls the thickness of an individual bristle in the brush. Paint opacity determines how opaque or translucent the brush stroke would be. And lastly, stiffness deals with the flexibility and rigidity of the bristles. If we move this slider all the way to the rigid side, we get a regular and well-aligned stroke, while moving the slider to the flexible side gives us a loose and organic stroke. Decreasing the bristle length will fix the misalignment of the brush stroke, but it will also take away some size. Last but not the least in the list is the pattern brush, which uses pattern swatches as tiles. We have 5 different tiles for a pattern brush: the outer and inner corner tiles, the side tile, and the start and the end tiles. Illustrator auto-generates the corner tiles, so it is not necessary to create them as long as you are fine with the auto-generated ones. You can also skip the start and the end tiles if your brush doesn't demand them. The side tile, however, cannot be skipped, as it makes most of the brush body. So here we have some tiles which I have already saved as pattern swatches. To save your art as a pattern, just drag it into the swatches panel, and it will be saved as a pattern. Dragging and dropping the object directly into the brushes panel also works fine, but let's not do that in this case. Now let's create our brush. Click on the new brush button and select pattern brush from the list. Now here in the brush options dialog, we have 5 boxes or slots. And if we click on these slots, we can see all the patterns we have in the swatches panel. Let's load the tiles to their respective slots. Now it's time to test the brush. So let's click OK and apply the brush to this object and see how it looks like. The sides look fine, but as you can see that the corners are messed up. The difference in the height of the tiles is the reason causing this misalignment, but it can easily be fixed by making a tweak to the side tile. Let's learn how to fix it. Now to fix the brush, all we need to do is to match the height of both the tiles. Now we cannot scale the side tile to make it the size of the corner tile for obvious reasons. So we will create a rectangle of the same height as our corner tile and align it with the side tile. That would fix the problem. I have already set up a box of the same height as this tile, and to make it invisible in the brush, I have set its fill and stroke attributes to none. Let's select the box and the side tile and click on horizontal right align button to align them. Now always remember that the width of the box should not be greater than the side tile, otherwise it will create unwanted spacing between the tiles. You can group the box and the side tile, but it's completely optional. Now let's save this tile as a pattern one more time. Double click on the brush and reload the side tile. Then click OK to save the changes. And now as you can see that everything has been fixed. We already know about these flip options, so let's start with the fit group, which has 3 options that determine how pattern tiles would align to the brush stroke. First one in the list is stretch to fit. This option stretches or shortens the tiles in order to fit the stroke. The amount of stretching and shortening of the tiles depends upon the length of the stroke. We can also add some space in between the tiles with the help of spacing parameter. Now the next option in the list is add space to fit. It does exactly what it says. It adds space between each tile in order to distribute them evenly along the path. This option considers the size of the tile and the length of the path to add the spacing. And as you can see here that the amount of spacing is less in this side as compared to this side. This is just because of the difference in the length of the sides. The spacing slider on the other hand adds even space between each tile. The third option is the approximate path, which uses a very distinctive alignment method. It moves the tiles outside or inside of the path to maintain the even tiling. Notice how some tiles are almost in the center, but some tiles from this side have been pushed outside to get their alignment right with the stroke. So this wraps up the brush options for the pattern brush. So we know nearly everything about these brushes, except for some small yet handy tips. So let's start with the first tip, which is about overriding the brush contents. Here we have a brush, and after creating it, I have modified the art a little bit. Now the problem is that I like this art more and want to replace it with this one. Well, we can create a new brush of course, but nobody would want to go through the process of setting up the brush one more time. So what we can do here is we can alt drag the new one onto the old one. And now the old art has been replaced by the new one. This can be done with any brush that uses the art. The second tip is about the size and the opacity. The size of a calligraphic or bristle brush can be changed by pressing the open and closed square brackets. For the opacity, we can use the number keys. Like we can press 0 for 100%, 5 for 50%, 6 for 60% and so on. If we press two different keys like 4 and 5, the opacity is going to be 45%. And this tip works only with the bristle brush. The third tip is about reversing the direction of a brush stroke. All we have to do is to activate the pen tool and click on one end of the stroke to reverse its direction. Now we already have the options to control the direction of the brush, but these options only flip the art, while the pen tool changes the direction of the path itself by reversing the arrangement of its anchor points. So this is just an alternate method that I think you should know about. The next tip is about creating perfect overlapping brushes. Now we already have scatter brush that supports overlapping, but for some reasons it doesn't produce satisfying results with closed objects. So in this case, we will use the pattern brush with a little tweak to achieve the effect we want. I have already saved this object as pattern brush and applied it to this object. Now to add the overlapping effect, we just have to create a little rectangle shape and align it with our object. Now two things to keep in mind here to make it work. First, the box should not have fill and stroke properties. And secondly, it should be behind the main object. Now let's save this object. And now we have a perfect brush with overlapping effect. The next tip is about extracting the art from the brush. Here I have a pattern brush that I made a long time ago, and now I want to make some adjustments to it. Let's say I want to use a pattern fill instead of a solid fill. We don't have anything to work with right now, so we have to extract the art from this brush and then modify it. One way to do is to apply the brush to a rectangle and expand it to obtain all the tiles. Then make all the necessary changes and put them back in the brushes panel. The other way is the easiest and the recommended way, where you just have to drag and drop the brush to get all the tiles. Now we can easily modify and save them without taking much time. The next tip is about getting different results from a single brush. Here we have three objects, out of which the first one has this scatter brush applied to it. Now I want to use this same brush for this object, but with a different size value. So let's double click on this brush and change its size. Alright, this one looks good. Now as soon as we press OK, we get this pop-up, which basically is saying that this brush is also used by some other objects and asking you whether you want to change them too or leave them as they are. In this case, I don't want to change them, so let's click on Leave Strokes. Now we can apply the same brush to this object, but this time we get a different result. There is an alternate way of doing this where you don't have to go to the brush options. And unlike the first way, this way bypasses the need of changing the default values of the brush. Let me apply a new brush to these objects. Now if you want to change something, just select the object and click on this button. Now any changes you make here are only going to affect the selected object. The next tip is about the editing threshold. So here we have an object, and if we put the cursor close to it, the asterisk goes away. Now this tool is just telling us that we are within the editing threshold of this object, and any action we take might edit this object. But the brush tool has a better way to tell you that. Let's move the brush towards this object. Now as soon as the brush reaches the editing range of this object, the size cursor is going to freeze. So now the cursor is within the editing threshold, and we can edit this object if we want. If we exit the range, the size cursor will stick back to the brush. The last tip is very basic, but I am going to share it anyway. It is about closing the path without getting back to the starting point. All we have to do is hold down the Alt key before letting go of the mouse button. And as you can see that the shape has been closed.